Hey, creative ones. It's Melissa D'Antoni, founder and director of the Creative Priestess School and Creative Alchemy and Creative Karmic Alchemy, which is a multidimensional quantum tool for releasing karmic imprinting and patterns of trauma on various areas of karma. If you're here, say hello. Okay, first of all, y'all, I put on this shirt this morning and I woke up, like sometimes I get these divine downloads in the morning of what I'm supposed to talk about today. And I get super excited and lit up, let's say. Hi, Anna. I woke up this morning and I put on this t-shirt that my mom gave me, which I love so much. She gave it to me this summer and it says, "Art is where the heart is." And I just love it. How perfect for this discussion today that we're going to have. So I'm going to do a little mini training and I want to tell you a little bit about how it was inspired. So last night I was with someone dear to me and we were talking about heart disease and how it travels through families. Heart disease is something that gets passed down over and over and over again, right? And you see it traveling, one of these generational wounds that travels through families, that gets inherited through our DNA, through our energetic codes, through our karmic imprinting, and it gets passed down until someone heals it and breaks the cycle. Right? Are you with me? Give me some thumbs up. Give me some hearts. This is all about the heart. This is all about love today. So give me some hearts. Give me some love. Let me know that you're here. Let me know where you're watching from too, and just write in the comments below. And also let me know if you have heart disease in your family line. I mean, I know I do, or have had that, and many clients that I work with. I probably did like 7 journeys last week. In terms of clearing family karma and on the family, feminine, and financial line for women. And it's one that I just see over and over again. It is not just a family issue. It is a social issue. It is a cultural issue. And we have got to break the cycle. If you're watching this video, hey Kaz, hey Christina, you are being called to tune into this level of awareness and break the cycle for you, for your children, for the future generations, for your entire family line, and set your DNA, set your heart free from this pattern that gets passed down, right? Okay, so clearing karmic imprinting on the family line. We're talking about heart disease specifically. So when I do a karmic alchemy process, when I do a karmic release process with someone, it's a form of alchemy, meaning we take the pain pattern, we take the energetic code of that, we take the trapped emotion, the trapped traumatic imprint that gets passed down through our DNA, through our behavior, through our paradigm, through our belief systems, through behavioral patterns. It's so funny. I was thinking about this morning when I was jotting some of my thoughts down about it, and I was thinking about my mom and how she used to have this conversation with my grandfather all the time. She would say about, is it nature or is it nurture? Well, I've always been a believer in all my training and experience that it's both, right? It's both. It comes through in our DNA, and it also becomes through our environment, right? So that's why generational wounds, when they get passed down, when they are unresolved and they get passed down, are so hard to break the cycle from, because it's not just your DNA, like deep down in your genetic coding, and that's the energetic imprint, right? That's where the sort of energetic spiritual formation meets the physical, right, in our DNA. And that's why these patterns are so hard to break, and that's why they travel through families until someone has the courage to break the cycle, to heal it, to feel it, to take responsibility without blame, to find the compassion and the love and the willingness to break the cycle and do it differently. And that's what we are all being called to do right now, right? So when I work with someone, for example, in the journey of the worthy woman, worthy wealthy woman, we look at, the first thing we look at is the family line, and we go and identify what are the diseases that get passed down, what are the patterns that get passed down, the behaviors, the trauma that gets passed down, right? And how does it show up in your life as a pain point or as an obstacle, a challenge that, you know, you've done everything, you've done all these different healing modalities, you've done all of these different things, and they're not working. And they're not working because they're one or two dimensional, right? And with creative alchemy, what I've discovered through my own process, my own training experience, my own mastery, my own life experience, my own evolution, especially, you know, and really kind of channeling this process, is that, you know, we can clear these patterns if we are showing up in our multidimensional selves. Meaning, it is holistic. Every aspect of your being has got to be involved for the pattern to clear. So with painting, I use art, energy medicine, transformative art. Mostly with painting, we use paint and our fingers. So it's a full body kinesthetic. So you are showing up emotionally, you're showing up mentally in your mental body. We are clearing at the physical body, right? And I'm going to talk more about that in a minute. And we're clearing at the spiritual body, the energetic. All of these bodies have to be present if you're fully going to clear this pattern and change your DNA and change your genetic code and free the trauma, right? It has to happen at all these different levels. Give me a thumbs up if this is making sense to you. Hi, Jean Garrett. Hi, Amy. Yeah, give me some hearts. I'm talking all about the heart today. Got this beautiful shirt that my mama gave me called Art is Where the Heart Is, and it's so true. It's just so perfect for this. I love it. I didn't even plan it. I just like picked it up and realized that's what it was wearing. Okay, so we look at these patterns, and the pattern I'm going to be talking about today, because I want to show you how this works. The pattern that we're looking at today is heart disease. Heart dis-ease, right? Okay, so heart disease is a big one because it travels it through a lot of families and it gets passed down. It's really a hard one, but it's also something that we've socially just accepted. It's like, oh, well, you know, if my dad had that or his dad had that or his, you know, it's in his family line, I guess I'm just going to have that. And we have this kind of deterministic, you know, which is really a bit of a victim response to, oh, I guess I'll have that too. No, you have the power to heal yourself. You have the power to change, to break the cycles, to not just for you, but for your entire family line, especially for your family line that's living, right? Backwards and forwards. And it's so powerful. It's really so powerful. So heart disease. So the energetics, if you get into the metaphysics, right? The energetics of heart disease, the emotional component. So the heart is where we process our emotion, right? Especially joy and grief, which are very interrelated, right? If we're not allowing ourselves to grieve fully, if we are not processing our emotions and allowing that energy and motion to flow, that energy and motion to flow through us and to have a full, like really being fully self-expressed, is allowing our emotional body to fully realize itself and process it so that we can get the lessons, so that we can evolve, right? This is really about claiming your evolution. So, heart disease ultimately is the center of love, right? This is where we hold our love, our capacity for love, for giving and receiving love, and also for security, because we're humans and we're relatable beings, and we need to, that's one of like the core things that humans need to thrive. We need to be able to give and share love. It's energy. It's divine. It's a a divine source of that pure love, right? Super, super important. So let's talk about heart attacks. What's going on underneath a heart attack, if this is in your family line, and again, there's no judgment towards our ancestors about this whatsoever. It is, I want to invite this perspective with a lot of love and compassion for the past, and realizing that a lot of this information and this consciousness and the tools were not available for our ancestors, right? And as we evolve, we open up and wake up to more potentials, more realities for self-healing and realization. So what's usually going on with a heart attack is squeezing the joy out of life, and usually in favor of money or status. Now you can kind of see that archetype as it is played in our society, right? The CEO who is overweight and has a heart attack because he's working too much, or whatever. So the other thing that I want to point out about that pattern energetically, and this is really important, so if you're aware and in tune with the divine feminine waking up, and I want to speak to this again, the divine feminine is waking up in all of us, not just in women. It's, I'm talking about the energetics of the feminine, which are emotion, intuition, right brain, creativity, right? The unknown, the imagination. Those are all, nurturing, right? Processing emotion. Those are all feminine capacities that we all need to live a whole, fully dimensional life. If we're going to live in our wholeness, we have to embrace that right side of our brain, that right side of our being, whatever you want to call it. Who's with me? Give me a thumbs up if you're getting this. Yeah. Hey, Douglas. Hey, Randall. I know you know this. I know this is resonating for you, but I'd love to hear it. But give me some heart, since we're talking about the heart. Okay, so squeezing all the joy out of life. And this is coming from Louise Hay, wrote a beautiful book on You Can Heal Your Life. And some of these, you can go into any symptom and any disease and look for, if you Google the alchemy of healing, somebody has it listed out really beautifully. And some of this I'm taking straight from there and have taken. It's a wonderful resource. Hi, Lael. So good to see you. Okay, so back to heart attack. So we have to embrace the feminine. The other thing about the heart is that it's where the inner child lives. That's joy. That's our joy. So if we're, even in our adult maturation, if we are not creating space for the inner child, for the playful, creative, inspired, joyful, inner child self, right, in our life, it's that's where you could see a lot of rich people, for example, wealthy people that have a lot of money, but they're not super happy, or they're not super healthy, right? There's usually a complete shut off from the inner child, right? And that part of our self-expression, right? There's a fragment there, and a fragment usually comes at the level of soul. This is soul healing work that I'm talking about. It's really about it's really soul integration. So you're claiming back these aspects of your soul that get fragmented off, either through your family line, or through your own trauma, or even from a past life, if you believe in that. Really doesn't matter. At the end of the day, the genetic code is there, the imprinting is there, and it's yours to break the cycle, to shift it, and to evolve it. So the next thing with the heart attack is also feeling alone and scared. So when somebody's feeling totally disconnected at the heart, they are blocked at the heart, and they feel scared, they're not connected, they're not allowing love to flow through them, and usually it's what I think of as like a broken heart, right? That's the image that comes to me. So those are usually the two kind of underlying energetic, metaphysical emotional roots, if you will, of heart disease. The core beliefs that are associated. It's really important because when we look at these patterns that get passed down, we look at the core beliefs, for example, of I'm not good enough, right? I don't do enough, which encourages a lot of workaholism and squashes out the inner child. It's like, no, I'm not allowed to express that part of myself. That's childish, or that looks childish. And that is all learned behavior, and it usually is stemmed and rooted in trauma, because to live a full life, you've got to have joy. You've got to have a lot of joy in your life. And if you don't have joy in your life, something is blocking that, and it's usually your own inner child wound. Yeah, give me some hearts and some thumbs up. Some hearts. Let's do hearts today. Let's give me some love if this is resonating for you. Okay, heart problems. Any kind of heart problems, whatever it is emotional issues at the end of the day. It's some kind of emotional block. Energy in motion, your life force, your creative life force in motion is blocked. You're not allowing life to move through you and to fully feel it, right? And so again, this pattern can be passed down, and it is most likely mirrored in our environments until we wake up. We make the decision to really love ourselves, accept the past, face it, right? Face the patterns of the past. It was so funny. I was watching The Lion King with my daughter, who just started watching movies, and that's one of our favorite ones. One of our favorite ones, I should say. And you know, it's like I was sort of thinking about what I was going to talk about today in this video, and I was like, oh my gosh, it's being mirrored right back to me in The Lion King. So he talks about when he's talking to Simba, when Simba's father is talking to him, he's like, or somebody was, I'm not sure, I might get the names mixed up, but he was talking to the baby lion who was meant to be king, and he was like, you have got to face the past, and you can change it if you face it and learn from it, and that is what we are being called to do. Right? That is what we are being called to do. If you're watching this video, if you have heart disease in your family or any disease, you know, and I'm going to be talking more about this and doing short trainings like this about different diseases that get passed down, because I'm so passionate about getting this information out and these tools and these invitations for those of you that feel called to this work, like breast cancer, even mental illness as it gets passed down. It is a learned behavior. There's an energetic code, there's a karmic imprint, and then it's also learned behavior. So you can break the cycle, but you have to make the decision and 100% decide that you are no longer going to perpetuate the cycle in your life and in your family's life and for your children. I mean, gosh, do it for your children, if you know, or future generations, if anything, right? So, core belief of, let's see, we're talking about heart problems, emotional issues, usually around grief. And our culture's fucked up. Let's talk just really honestly. Our culture's fucked up about grief. You know, we don't allow ourselves to grieve. We are so ready for the quick fix. Or it's almost like this polarity that I see. We kind of, and I have so done this because I'm generally wired for joy and happiness and, you know, love and light. And I want to move through my grief as fast as I can. It's something I've had to work at, and the painting process has really helped me because I just want to get to the light. I want to get to the other side, right? Without fully allowing that emotion to flow through me and have that kind of what I call like an emotional orgasm, where you get to that place where it just feels so good and you feel expanded, your heart feels expanded, because that is the gift of grief. It's more joy, it's more love, it's a heart expansion when we allow ourselves to feel it. The challenge is that we don't allow ourselves to feel it. We're not supported to feel it, right? In our culture, there's this learned programming that emotions are bad, scary. If I feel too much, I will, you know, get sucked into it and I won't come out. You know, all of those kinds of fears that people have. And a lot of that, again, is learned behavior, right? But it blocks our evolution. The other thing that I see is people identify too much. Hey, Paula. Mwah. Love you, sister. So good to see you here. So I'm talking about heart disease and heart problems in general. And emotion. And another thing, it's usually an emotional issue on some level, and it's really identifying that specific pattern. What is the emotional issue? And I want to go back to why people are generally afraid, I find, of feeling the emotions, is that we fear that we're going to get sucked into them, right? Or we identify with them. And that's what keeps a lot of people in depression, for example. It's like, you are not your emotions. It's just the energy moving through you, supporting your growth and evolution. That's all it really is. It's your life force, right? That's how we grow and evolve when we allow that energy to move through us. Can I get some hearts? Can you resonate with that? But when people identify with their emotion, like I'm depressed, then you just create, we live in a quantum reality, right? So if you identify with being depressed and you call yourself depressed, you're just going to create more and more depression, rather than being like, I am really sad and I need to grieve and I need to take space to feel these feelings and allow myself to have that emotional breakthrough, because on the other side of that is more joy. On the other side of that is more creativity. It's more energy. It's more flow. It's more light. It's more love. It's more expansion, right? It's all the things that you are wanting. And that's how, we have more heart energy when our heart is healthy and open and we're balanced and giving and receiving and we're allowing our emotions to flow. We magnetize everything we need to support our desires. So we have got to, as a culture, get this right. Are you with me? Give me some hearts. Hey, Amberly. Okay, so what else do I want to say about this? I wrote some notes up here. Hardening of the heart, belief in strain, stress, or suffering. So that also is a big cause of heart disease, heart attacks, is this belief, this old scarcity belief that you have to suffer, that you're meant to suffer. And that's what keeps people addicted to pain, to suffering, to grief, to identifying with their emotion rather than just allowing it. Sometimes when I do meditation over the years, I talk about just allow it to flow through you like water off a duck's back. It's when we grasp and attach in that wounded ego part of us that wants to identify and punish ourselves for feeling a certain way. And it blocks our flow and it keeps us as victims of our own emotions. It keeps us blocked and stuck, often for lifetimes, right? And then it gets passed down. So I just wanted to share this with you because I think it's so important. I love your feedback, your thoughts. Let me know if it resonates. Let me know if you have heart disease in your family and how it shows up. And if you're interested, I'm offering some complimentary karmic pattern assessments on the family line. I will post my scheduling tool so you can get on a call with me. It's a 30-minute session and we look at your family line. We look at the feminine line collectively and where these patterns show up for you, and also on the financial line. And one thing I want to say, especially about heart disease, that I've learned through my own process, my own journey, my own heart healing, and also through facilitating others through this process. When it comes to women, creatives, creative women, change agents, healers, facilitators, it is so important that we look at these patterns and how they show up, not just in your ancestry and the line of our ancestors, but also on the family and the feminine line. Because, let's take heart disease, for example. It's so important that we as a society, as a culture, as humanity, start bringing the energy of of money, which is just energy. It's just how it's how we value ourselves, each other, how we create value and exchange it. It's the giving and receiving of love, ultimately. How we love ourselves, how we love others, how we contribute to and how we express our soul's purpose in the world, right? And we've got to bring the energy of money into a place of the heart, right? Out of this kind of patriarchal model of money, which keeps people stuck and in dis-ease, and it's not healthy for anyone, men or women, right? So super important, something to think about. Like, you know, a deeper cut of this is like, how do we start loving and honoring ourselves in this energy of the heart, and really thinking about money in a different way at the heart level, rather than it coming from a place of security and kind of root chakra, you know, needs based, but more from an overflow of love and service and passion and joy. Right? So I hope this was helpful for you. Please write some comments. Please share this with someone. I'll make it public. If you know somebody that has heart disease, share it with your family line if they're open to having this conversation with you. Any of your relatives, or anyone that could be served by this information if you're wanting to have an assessment, and if you would like to talk with me about the journey of the worthy, wealthy woman, where we really go into all of these patterns and we alchemize them, we shift them, we look at the patterns, we look at the beliefs that are associated with these patterns, and we look for the gift. What is the gift that you can claim and carry forward in your own evolution? And then we clear it using painting. Oh, I had one over here. I should have just showed you. Using creative alchemy. And then we go through a really powerful ritual and ceremony that you get to create, and really claiming your freedom from these patterns. It's incredibly potent. Every single person, myself included, that has ever experienced this with me has had an immediate visceral shift. So you will clear sometimes lifetimes of karmic imprinting and conditioning and patterns and trauma. You do not need to stay stuck in your trauma. You do not need to, you know, work for 20 years talking about your story. It's like, no, it keeps people stuck. You can actually shift it. It can be easy, it can be fun, but you have to be willing to do the work to do it, and it doesn't take a lifetime. So if this is calling you, get on a call with me, and I'll post, you can either private message me, and I'll post a link below to my calendar. Lots of love, you guys. Have a great day. Bye-bye.